Welcome to the water table, where I'm on a quest to taste every sparkling water in the world. And I've tasted a number of different waters, all sorts of fascinating, intriguing waters from Ecuador and Georgia and the United Kingdom and Italy. And today we're going to take a look at a water that you can find in your local grocery store at a really affordable price. In fact, many of the water sommeliers would look at a water like this and disregard it and tell you to ignore it and don't buy it. But it has a really cool story behind it, and it has its benefits as well. You see, when I am on this journey to taste different kinds of sparkling waters, I'm interested in all aspects of this, including the sparkle, the carbonation. And there's something about this water that makes the carbonation the main character in the story. Now, in every one of these videos, I try to tell three stories. I tell the origin story of the water. Where does it come from? I tell the story of the business and the brand. But in this case, the origin and the business and brand are integrated to some extent. And then I tell the story of the water itself. What does it taste like? What's the experience like to drink it and to try it? And Polar seems to have a little bit of a cult following for some in the United States. I'm not sure if that carries over into other countries, but it definitely has people who like it. Now, I am staying with all of the unflavored sparkling waters, just staying with the water experience itself. But Polar is known for having many different kinds of flavors that I know a lot of people gravitate toward, and that's part of why they get it. Let's go ahead and dive in to the story. Let's start with the name Polar. So Polar Seltzer. It's from Polar Beverages, founded in 1882 by Dennis Crowley. Crowley was a bartender in Massachusetts, and he crafted this bubble recipe originally to enhance his whiskey business. And when the Prohibition movement took hold in New England, he pivoted the entire operation to a sparkling seltzer. This water is not from some particular source. The origin story is not some incredible spring with stories and myths and legends of people being healed by the water. No, what we're looking at here is water from a municipal source. Multiple facilities around the country, at least 4 of them that I've come across, but there may be many of them. And this is a reverse osmosis process of the water where it's treated, and it pretty much strips it down to the bare minimum. If there was any kind of minerality to this water at the beginning, magnesium or calcium or bicarbonate, it would be stripped out almost entirely through this process. But that same reverse osmosis does also remove things like lead and arsenic, which we obviously don't want in our waters. Many people would look at this and they'd stick their nose up at a municipal water. Why am I buying municipal water in a can when I can just get it in my house through my faucet and my local municipal water? Well, there is something to be said about the way that they make a sparkling water and the carbonation. And as I've said, the main character in this water is not the water itself or the minerality of the water like we would look at with a nice natural spring or artesian spring mineral water or spring water. The feature here is the carbonation itself. And I would call this a classic American aggressive carbonation style. Now, there are a number of sparkling water brands in the United States that have opted for a less aggressive carbonation. But when you have all of the minerality stripped out of a water, there is nothing to subdue the carbonation. And so the carbonation is going to be very strong. It's going to be very aggressive. And if you like that, this is a water that you might enjoy. And I actually love carbonation. So even though I really enjoy refined mineral waters and the heavy, hard mineral waters of certain parts of the world, and I like different kinds of water, and I like the smooth, low TDS artesian waters from different parts of the country and world, there is a time for me to try a really aggressive carbonation water where you've done something to the water that moves the water a little bit to the side and highlights the carbonation itself. So Polar's signature CO2, as I'd been reading about it, it's forced into the water at freezing temperatures and high pressure, and it avoids oxygen exposure. And the goal is to create a whole bunch of really tiny but strong bubbles. And you see very small bubbles in high minerality sparkling waters too, but I'm expecting this to be a different experience. Now, when I say I'm expecting, I've had this sparkling water many times before, so this is not my initial tasting on screen. But I'm also expecting, just from the things that I've read about it anew, that it's going to have a different kind of experience. The origin story of the business, family owned, 4 generations of the Crowley family. That's 140 years. It's the largest independent bottling company in the United States, to the best of my knowledge, at least at the time of recording this. And with the new CEO, this went from an $18 million business to over $1 billion business. And there's a real cult following driven by many of the different seasonal flavors that they include for these waters. The TDS, the total dissolved solids, the minerality, this is going to be about as close to zero as you can find. And I have tasted a lot of waters that are low minerality. In fact, I have some of them here. I did recently a very refined, incredible water, Splendor, that has little traces of silver and gold in it. And this was in the 30s, very low TDS. I also have a tree water, a maple tree water that's made out of the 97% of tree sap that's water, and through a reverse osmosis process, they make a water, but it still has a little hint of sweetness to it. That's an incredibly low minerality in the 20s. So we're going to see if this gets to that level or not. Now, the home sensor that I have for testing total dissolved solids is not entirely accurate. It can miss some minerals, but I don't think there are many minerals for it to miss in here. The pH here is typically going to be a 3 or 4 for the unflavored, so it's high carbonation with no mineral buffers. This is going to be an acidic beverage. So you have the acidic to the alkaline kind of beverage. This is going to be much more acidic, roughly the acidity of something like orange juice, just to give you a sense. The mouthfeel when you drink something like this, it would be aggressive. And I already know that because I've drank this before, but that's what I would expect. But it's also going to feel really clean. And before we open this up and give it a try, let me just read what it says on the can, how they promote it. You see the polar bear. I guess that's a polar bear on there. I'm not sure why, because it doesn't have any connection to that part of the world, but premium seltzer, naturally calorie-free, original, refreshingly natural is how they talk about it. And the ingredients, carbonated water. So no source listed because it's municipal, contains no juice, no sweeteners, no sodium. And then when you go through fat, sodium, carbohydrates, total sugars, added sugars, protein, all of that, just zero. They do include a website on here where you can go check it out and learn a little bit more, and a hashtag for social media. You can go to polarseltzer.com and learn more. So I'm ready to give this a try. Right away, an aggressive carbonation. You can just hear when I open it, and I pour it in, and you can see the aggressiveness, very lively bubbles. I would say that the bubbles are all over the place, though. You have some larger ones, some smaller ones, and that's always interesting to me because with some sparkling waters, very consistent bubbles that are larger or smaller, but I see a mix of bubbles here. I can see it bouncing up. There is a sweetness to this. Whenever I smell it, it smells a little bit sweet. And I don't know what it is about my taste buds or how common that is, but whenever I smell a very low TDS water, it does often register as a little bit sweet to me whenever I smell it and when I taste it sometimes. Good. Aggressive carbonation. I can feel it in my cheeks, but it's not prickly. It's not like a Topo Chico or even a Mineragua. Those bubbles, that seems to be more aggressive to me. This one doesn't feel that way, but it is definitely on the more aggressive side with carbonation. Definitely a medium to medium high carbonation. I think many people will consider this to be a high carbonation, and I'm continuing to see the bubbles. But it's fascinating to me that they're all over the place in terms of sizes. So I see small bubbles that have gathered along the bottom of the glass, but the bubbles that are popping up to the top of the water, it's everything from tiny bubbles to ones that look almost a half inch across. And I'm not sure why that is or how it happens. I'm still reading and learning more about the carbonation process and how the minerality or lack thereof contributes to the carbonation and how you can actually carbonate water in different ways and at different temperatures and under different amounts of pressure in order to create different carbonation experiences. So that's really fascinating to me. But this is a good, refreshing water. And while I know that some water aficionados will stick their nose up at a municipal sparkling water in a can, I actually find it refreshing. And I have a pack of Polar Seltzer in my house almost all the time, and I enjoy it. And this is something that I like at a room temperature. I like it out of the refrigerator a little bit colder. And I know that this is anathema to some people who are mineral water drinkers, but I sometimes like this with some ice in it as well on a hot day. It's a really refreshing beverage. So there you have it. That is my tasting of Polar Seltzer.